Iran has disbanded its morality police following unprecedented nationwide protests over the past 2 months.
Both Moscow and Kiev have slammed Western allies' decision to set a price cap of $60 on Russian oil exports. Russia's defense minister and Belarus's president held talks in Minsk as the Kremlin continues its fierce attack on Ukrainian infrastructure and military positions.
Iran has abolished the country's morality police after 2.5 months of nationwide protests following the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini while in police custody. The patrols were introduced in 2006 by then-President Ahmadinejad to codify a culture of decency, and for women it heavily dictated what was deemed appropriate to wear. The decision is simply historic.
Iran's Republican and Islamic foundations are constitutionally entrenched, but there are methods of implementing the constitution that can be flexible.
The Islamic Republic is also said to be reviewing the 1983 law that requires women to cover their heads.
Both Moscow and Kiev have slammed the new price cap on Russian oil set by Western allies. The Kremlin announced that it will not accept the new price ceiling, while the Ukrainian president suggested the cap should be lowered from the $60 a barrel agreed on down to $30. Volodymyr Zelensky said the price cap wasn't a serious enough answer to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He added that the current ceiling is quite comfortable and not enough to damage the Russian economy. Although experts say the measures will likely be felt by Russia, the blow will be partially softened by Moscow's biggest crude oil trade partners, India and China, neither of whom have committed to the price cap. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko held talks in Minsk on Saturday where they reportedly discussed military cooperation and regional security. Although Lukashenko has consistently said he will not enter the war in Ukraine, Moscow has in the past used Belarus as a staging post for its invasion. Meanwhile, Russia continues to move troops to the front line, dashing hopes that Moscow intends to de-escalate the conflict. The Ukrainian armed forces reported that since Friday, the Kremlin's forces have fired 5 missiles and carried out dozens of airstrikes targeting Ukraine's military positions and civilian infrastructure. According to the UK Defense Ministry, Russia is likely planning to encircle the town of Bakhmut, where fierce trench warfare reminiscent of World War I has been going on for the past few weeks. Could the more than 200-year-long dispute between London and Athens over the return of the so-called Elgin marbles be finally coming to an end? A newspaper reported the Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis has been holding secret talks with the chairman of the British Museum for more than a year for the return of the Parthenon sculptures. In response to the report, a spokesman for the museum, however, pledged not to dismantle its collection. The marbles were removed from the Acropolis by an English diplomat in 1816.
Dresden's Stahlenfest is back. Celebrating the centuries-old baking tradition, this German Christmas cake festival was cancelled for 2 years due to the coronavirus pandemic. On Saturday, hundreds of artisan bakers and visitors flocked to the capital of the East German state of Saxony to mark the annual pastry cutting ritual, now in its 28th year. Originally eaten during medieval fasting, the first Kruststahlen was invented in 1730. Funds raised during this year's event will go to a charity providing support to children and youths in problematic living conditions across Saxony.